former president.
That was Kamala Harris.
I always knew one day I would become the best rapper. I just want to thank all my fans. I dedicate this to you. I call it 2 million. I did what I wanted, niggas did what they could. A lion wouldn't cheat, but a tiger would. I only keep real niggas in my stable. $1 million chain, I'm feeling like Gucci's label. So icy, I really don't care. Haters green as a pool table and they twice as square. Had to cut a couple bitches, them niggas need stitches. I'm getting money off the tree, y'all niggas getting switches. Yeah, similar to Nas, I need a mic though. Chop the bread up, taekwondo. They pass me the game like Tom Brady. These rappers' chances looking slim, just like Shady. Let me just take a brief intermission. I'm coming right back at you with more bars than a motherfucking prison. Thank you, man, for following me. Twitter.com/SoldierBoyTellin'. 2 million followers. I love all my fans. Let me eat these bitches. Niggas locked behind my bars. I'm taking out prisoners. Sit back, relax, receiving my residuals. You think this song is dope shit? Wait till you see the visual. Please brace yourself. The shit is about to get critical. Let it be known I got rappers on my hit list. I got so many gifts. You would swear I stole Christmas. Word to the Grinch, bitch. My style real switch quick. I knew this all along. I was waiting just to hit the kill switch. Since day one, man, your boy been the truth. Broke so many records like I'm in the glass booth, like I'm in the glass studio, breaking out barriers. Back when crime I was screaming Ellenwood area. Nigga, I ain't scared of ya, I never ever will be. I'm screaming I'm the best until these rappers kill me. Make the people feel me like blind men do. On your girl head so much like her favorite shampoo. I'm traveling where I want, soldier's vacation. My mind is so free, Emancipation Proclamation. I'm so hot, haters evaporating. 6 bitches on my dick, I'm eliminating. I'm high every Friday, just like Smokey. I'm spitting real shit, these niggas spitting karaoke. Hit stick with the flow just like Madden. I'm so high on my carpet feeling like Aladdin. I spit hot flames, bitch, just like a dragon. And my pants sagging, spell it backwards, niggas. Niggas get hit it when they see the coupe on. I don't give a fuck, I got my Pyrex suit on. I'ma keep rapping till the fans hear the best of me. I'm cooking up the game, bitch, yeah, I got the recipe. You ain't gotta like me, just please respect it. Hip hop is dead, nigga, let me resurrect it. Microphone check it, uno, dos, tres. I'ma keep spitting till they crown me the best. The rap game's a mess, let me clean it up. It's a pigsty, they going ham, give it up. Man, I know a lot of these niggas out here slept on me, man, you feel me? But now I'm like they worst nightmare and shit, you know what I'm saying? Hopped up out the bed, turn my swag on, man. Shit don't make no motherfucking sense, man. All my fans, hold your head, man. I got y'all, man, it's nothing, you feel me? Twitter.com/SoldierBoyTellin'. I'm doing this for y'all. I broke 2 million, so I dedicated this to you. But at the end of the day, man, I know y'all love me, so I love y'all back. I'm the new best rapper. Flying down the highway, $1 million on the dashboard. You can't start my car up unless you got the password. I'm something like a prophecy, spit so properly. When my album drop, watch how many rappers copy me. Haters' opinions are obsolete. Don't make pop music, so it ain't no popping me. And my brain's a bitch, where she at when I need her? You pack 9s, I pack 9 kilometers. You didn't want beef, why would you start it? Cannons flashing like you're walking down the red carpet. First you was nameless, now I'ma make you famous. Hit you with the stainless and leave your ass brainless. Best rapper.
I was just thinking about that song, so I decided to put it on. We'll see if I get a copyright claim for that later and I gotta cut it. I mean, either way, if I do, that just means I get to... This whole front segment of the stream will get trimmed out and make it shorter. Too bad. That would make the people miss out on the song. Might wait a bit longer before we start, give people more time to get here. But I'll go ahead and open the game. Think we've taken enough time. Where did we even leave off? We had new tips. Lots of new tips. Let's read them. The Sonozaki family. The one that drastically expanded its influence after the war was the Sonozaki family. Have we read these? The leader at the time was Oryu Sonozaki, who still has that seat today. Oryu Sonozaki has grown old, and today you can only catch a glimpse of who she was at the time. From what I've been told, however, she was a leader extolled as the best in history. Having become so old, aside from going out a few times a week for lessons, she spends her time at home in solitude and seems to leave most of the ceremonial affairs to her heir, Mion. There are different views on why the successor was not her daughter, but her granddaughter Mion, but it's rumored that it had to do with the disownment of her daughter and son-in-law. We've read this before.
Ah, お疲れ様です。どうです？何か手がかりはありました？課長。
Yeah, we've read these.
無理せず、体を休めながらのんびり行きましょう。お医者さんからも言ってくれないか。ありゃありゃ。今夜。おい。隣の雀荘で話した方が早そうなメンツですね。課長にお客様です。
Yeah, we've read this.
わしを怒らせて、ただで済むと思わんほう。
Shush. I saw a ceiling I was familiar with. Though I was groggy from sleep, I did notice that I was in my futon like I was every morning. I looked at my clock, and despite having turned in so late last night, I had woken at precisely the same moment I always did. I'm so low on sleep, but I guess you really can get up at the same time every day. The secrets of the human body never cease to amaze me. If I went back to sleep like this, I would definitely not be waking up again. I spurred myself on and slipped out of my futon. Mom asked me about last night at breakfast. Apparently we too had gotten a call asking if we knew where Rika-chan and Satoko were, and Mom vaguely understood that something serious was happening. So then, you were out late last night with all your friends looking for them? Until about 3, I think. Yeah. Did you find them? Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, I mean. Crunch. I wearily bit into my toast. It really didn't have any taste. Just then, we heard the chime go ding-dong. I looked up at the clock and saw there was about 5 minutes past my regular meeting time with Rena. It was her at the door. Good morning. Did you get any sleep? Did you? I think I slept for a few hours. You probably count them on a chicken's toes, though. What a saying, Keiichi. Rena seemed pretty sleep-deprived as well. There was something missing from her usual spirit. Are you going to school? Yeah. I think it'd be better that way. She said, smiling, albeit stiffly. Rena was probably worrying her heart out about those two as well. Even so, she wanted to go to school. If you stay home today, I think you'd just be worrying non-stop and sleeping. I don't want that. So let's go to school together. Alright.
ちょっと待っててくれ。
Wait just a moment.
すぐ支度するから。
I'll get ready. I was just a little bit happy about Rena mustering that much consideration for me. We went to the place where we'd usually meet up with Mion, but she was nowhere to be found. We were a little bit late today, so we thought she'd be waiting for us.
みーちゃん、さすがに今日は起きられないかもね。
I guess Mi-chan couldn't wake up today, huh?
あ、そうか。
Ah, that's right.
あいつにとっては昨日だけじゃないんだよな。
For her, it wasn't just yesterday.
一昨日の晩も村長さんを探して徹夜してるんだよな。
She was up all night looking for the mayor the night before last, too. We waited for a bit. Time passed until it got to the point where it was okay for us to go on alone, and we exchanged glances.
どうする？
What do we do?
もう少し待つか？
Wait a little longer? At that point, my brain, which had finally been woken up by the morning air, recalled the ominous words Uishi-san had left me with last night. The leaders of the three families were disappearing one after the other. And next, it might be the Sonozaki's leader. Could Mion have... No, that couldn't be.
行こう。
Let's go.
今日は寝かせておいてあげようよ。
Let's let her sleep for today. Rena gave me a pat on the back.
ミオン、本当にいるよな。
Mion, she's still here, right? Hmm?
何か言ったかな？
Did you say something?
いや、独り言。
Oh, nothing, just talking to myself.
行こうぜ。
Let's get moving. The two of us headed to school by ourselves. On the way, we saw a bunch of our classmates accompanied by their parents. It even looked like some of them were being taken to school by car. Surprisingly, the principal was also standing watch at the school gate. I'd never seen that before. Good morning. Good morning. The principal was bowing to our classmates' guardians. The wooden sword leaning next to him was a little ominous. Mabaru-kun, good morning. Ryugu-kun, good morning.
おはようございます。
Good morning.
先生から大切なお話があるからすぐに教室に入るよう
Your teacher has something important to say, so head straight to the classroom.
にいいかね
Alright? Ren and I said nothing. The madness that only existed at night had finally crawled out into the sunlight. That's what it felt like. Good morning, everyone. The hushed conversations that had been spreading for a while now all disappeared like an illusion the moment our teacher walked in the door. Silence dominated the classroom. The principal came in with our teacher as well. This was clearly not a normal morning.
まず、校長先生から大切なお話があります。
First, the principal has something important to tell everyone.
校長先生、どうぞ。
Go ahead, Mr. Principal. The principal cleared his throat and approached the dais.
もう知っている生徒もおるだろ
I'm sure some of you already know this. The classroom was dead silent. Everyone was staring at Rika-chan and Satoko's empty seats. The principal briefly and simply declared that Rika-chan and Satoko had gone missing. There wasn't a single person in the classroom who didn't already know. There seemed to be many, however, who couldn't accept it as the truth. It had been confirmed to them by the principal's words. There were sobs throughout the classroom, and I heard a kid crying. They steadily spread throughout the whole room. The big-hearted principal wasn't able to keep his cool either.
はい、皆さん注目注目。
Okay, everyone, pay attention.
今日から当分の間、登下校は保護者の方と一緒に行います。
From today on, your parents or guardians will be taking you to
保
school.
護者の方の都合がつきにくい生徒は集団での登下校とします。
For those of you whose parents can't do so, you'll be coming here in groups.
プリントを作りましたので、よく読み、保護者の方にも必ず見せてください。
I made a handout, so read it carefully and be sure to show it to your parents.
いいですね。
Understand? The teacher's voice was a little abrasive. Not even she could conceal the strain she felt from this unprecedented abnormal situation. They should have just canceled school today. However, Rena told me that the school is also like a nursery for the students whose parents both worked, so some of them wouldn't want school to be canceled.
では、授業を始めます。
Well then, let's begin the lesson.
委員長はお休みですね。
Class president? He's absent, I see.
では日直、号令。
Then whoever's on day duty, let me hear it.
起立。
All rise. That feeling of wanting to maintain an everyday atmosphere, even if only in school, precisely because our lives have been messed up, was something that I agreed with at this point. As for the teacher, who always had her lunch in the staff lounge, she ate in the classroom today. I had to laugh at her curry bento, which was just a rumor until now, but there was nobody to laugh with me. Rena brought her chair and lunch over to my seat. Today, it was only the two of us. The fact that we didn't need to drag any other desks over was sad.
眠いね。
I'm sleepy.
ああ、
Yeah.
でももうそんなに気にならなくなったよ。
I don't feel like sleeping anymore, though.
むしろ今寝れるくらいのずぶとい神経が羨ましい。
In fact, I'm jealous of the people that could sleep at a time like this. They've got nerves of steel.
そうかもね。
You're right. I was sleepy this morning, but my drowsiness had dissipated after coming to school and constantly feeling the incredible tension. Rena's bento box didn't have its usual luster. That was to be expected. Rena was up for a long time last night, too. She wouldn't have had time to make her lunch beforehand. Since it's not like she would have gotten up early this morning.
遠慮なくつっつけよ。
Grab anything you want.
今日は素直に俺の弁当の方が立派なのを認めろ。
Go ahead. You can admit that my bento is better today.
じゃあ遠慮なくいただくね。
Okay. Then I'll have some. Depression or absolute terror. Pick your Higurashi moment.
ああ、しそチーズのちくわ巻きなんて面白いな。
Wow, Chikuo roll with perilla and cheese? That's interesting.
レナのだって今日のはレトルトだろうけどなかなかうまいぞ。
Rena, yours might have ready-made food in it, but it's pretty good too. I realized the two of us were desperately trying to brighten the afternoon mood to its usual level as much as we could. I looked around the classroom, and it seemed like we were the only ones trying to do so, surrounded as we were by gloominess.
こうして二人だけでお弁当をつつき合ってると、なんだかなんだかだよね。
I'll take the absolute terror any day. I think I prefer it. Just the two of us sharing our lunches like this. It's sort of, well, sort of like something. Our laughter grew quieter. I was the first one to mess up.
ごめん。
Sorry.
その悪かった。
I mean, well, I'm sorry.
いいよ。
No, it's okay.
仕方ないよ。
It's not your fault. Our chopsticks both stopped moving. We couldn't keep it up anymore.
リカちゃんとサトコどこに行ったんだろうな。
Rika-chan, Satoko. I wonder where they went. Those words might have sounded too miserable. Everyone was thinking it, using roundabout ways to address the topic, but I came right out and said it. I heard Rena catch her breath.
昨日ね、 圭一くんがいなくなってる間にいろいろと話を聞いてたから、レナの知ってる限りを話すね。
Yesterday, while you were gone, I heard a bunch of things, so I'll tell you what I know, okay?
昨夜はすまなかった。
Sorry again about last night.
頼む。
Go ahead. At that time, since they had a rep for support, Rena was helping the Ladies' Society cook the miso soup we had. They reported all of the information the villagers had gathered, and Rena said she overheard it.
でも結局何もわからなかったんだろ。
They didn't know anything important, though, did they?
学校が終わってから家に帰って二人で自転車に乗ってどこかへ行ったらしいということ以外は全く。
Rika-chan and Satoko went home after school and then apparently went somewhere on their bikes, but other than that... Mion had told me yesterday. We had no clues.
うん。
Yeah.
警察の人も家に帰ってからすぐに自転車で遊びに行ったんだろうって言ってる。
The police also said that they probably went out on their bikes to go play somewhere as soon as they got home.
家に帰ってからすぐに自転車で遊びに行くところと言ったら街かもしれないでしょ。
If they were going out to play somewhere on their bikes right after getting home, then they might have gone into town.
だから沖宮の町でいなくなったんじゃないかって結論になってるみたい。
So I guess they concluded they disappeared while in Okinomiya.
警察は明るくなってから捜査範囲を沖宮にも広げるって言ってた。
The police were saying how they're going to expand their search to Okinomiya in the morning. In town. Makes sense why we couldn't find them even though we searched all of Hinamizawa then. Still, something didn't fit. I had no basis for thinking that, just a gut feeling. I revealed something to Rika-chan that was likely very important to her that day. Then Rika-chan had told me to leave it to her. And then, what did she say? Oh, right. If she didn't work hard, then something bad might happen to the dog too, I think. With all the talk of dogs and cats, I still didn't have the faintest idea what she really meant, but it might have been Rika-chan's way of saying this was a race against time. Damn it. I'd selfishly pushed my anxiety on Rika-chan and tried to run away. When I thought about it, I shouldn't have run back then. I should have asked her more about the dogs and cats. The more I think back on it, I really screwed up. Anyway, I don't think Rika-chan was in a situation where she would just go off to play somewhere. Of course, I didn't have any evidence or conviction to base that on. It was just a hunch.
町なんかに行くわけないと思うんだ。
I don't think she'd go into town.
圭一くんもそう思う？
You think so too, Keiichi-kun?
レナもそう思うよ。
I agree.
リカちゃんもサトコちゃんもひなみ沢でいなくなったに違いないの。
Rika-chan and Satoko-chan must have disappeared in Hinamizawa. I looked back at Rena, startled. I could hear the conviction in those words. Without replying to my gaze, she took her bento box and went to the hallway.
お弁当箱を洗ってくるね。
I'm gonna go rinse this out. She timed that in a way that broke off the conversation. Suddenly, I got the feeling that the next thing she had to say would be hard to say aloud in the classroom. I hurriedly grabbed my bento box and followed her. Rena didn't go to the kitchenette, but rather to the water fountains out back, where students seldom went. The water flowed down onto our bento boxes. During that time, Rena didn't say a word. Then, after making sure there were no other students around, she finally opened her mouth to speak.
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんが町に遊びに行っていなくなったなんて。
The whole thing about Rika-chan and Satoko-chan going to town to play and then disappearing.
なんだか腑に落ちなくて。私なりにいろいろ聞いたり調べたりしたの。
It didn't make sense for some reason, so I decided to investigate a little bit myself.
聞いた？
Who did you ask?
何を？
What'd you ask them about?
婦人会のおばさんたちにいろいろ。
I asked the Lady Society all kinds of things.
昨日のお味噌汁、お豆腐がいっぱい入ってたでしょ。
There was a lot of tofu in the miso soup yesterday, remember?
富田豆腐店のおばあちゃんも来てたの。
The old lady from the Tomita tofu shop came too. Tomita tofu shop. Oh, I remember. That was one of the stores on the road leading to the hospital. Those huge lumps of tofu dancing in the bathtub-like cistern always looked nice and refreshing.
おばあちゃんね、昨日学校の帰り道にさとこちゃんがお店に寄ってお豆腐を買っていったのを覚えてたの。
The old lady says she remembers Satoko-chan stopping to buy tofu there on her way home from school.
豆腐
Tofu?
学校の帰り道にだろ。
Well, it's on the way home, right?
それが何か手がかりになるのか？
How is that a clue?
いいから聞いて。
Just listen.
リカちゃんの家に行った時のこと、
You-
覚えてるかな？
You remember when we went to Rika-chan's house? Brenna stepped away from the sinks and spread her arms wide to recreate the space of Rika-chan's room.
ガス台にお鍋がかけてあって、その中にお味噌汁が入ってたの。
There was a pot in her gas cooker, and there was miso soup in it.
中にはお豆腐が多分一丁の半分くらい入ってたと思う。
I think there's probably about half of it inside.
残りの半分は冷蔵庫の中にあったの。
The rest was in the refrigerator.
冷ややっこにするつもりだったんだね。
They must have been planning to make chilled tofu.
お皿に開けてラップがかけてあった。
It was on a plate in plastic wrap. As Rena explained, she walked around as if she were really going through Rika-chan's room.
でもレナ、それが何だって言うんだ？
Still, Rena, why does this matter?
ケイチくん、
Keiichi-kun,
お味噌汁のお豆腐って本当に最後の最後に入れるんだよ。
when you make miso soup, you put the tofu in last.
つまりお料理してたリカちゃんか、もしくはさとこちゃんはお夕飯の時間の直前まであそこに立って料理をしていたことになるの。
That means that Rika-chan, or Satoko-chan, whoever was cooking, was standing there making it up until right before dinner time.
夕食の時間の直前まで？
Right up until dinner time? Wasn't everyone saying that their bikes weren't around, so they must have been gone somewhere to play by themselves?
三角コーナーのゴミを見たらすごく不吉祥だった。
The trash in the countertop bin was put in there really awkwardly, too.
食事やお弁当はほとんどリカちゃんが作ってるんだけど、たまにね、さとこちゃんがすることもあるの。
Rika-chan makes most of their food and lunches, but occasionally Satoko-chan does it too.
だからその晩はさとこちゃんがお料理したんだね。
So Satoko-chan was cooking that night.
それってつまりサトコに関しては遊びに行かず夕食の準備をしてたってことなのか？
So that means that Satoko at least didn't go somewhere to play. She was preparing dinner? Yeah.
それで私、炊飯釜も見てみたの。
Then I took a look at the rice cooker and
炊飯釜には2人分のご飯が炊けていた。
there was rice for two still in there.
ってことは2人分の夕飯は作ったけど2人とも夕飯は食べなかった。
So she made dinner for both of them, but neither of them ate it.
そういうことか。
Is that it? Rena nodded.
それで次に冷蔵庫の中も見てみたの。
So next I looked in the fridge.
そうしたら残り半分のお豆腐で作った冷ややっこがあったの。
There was some chilled tofu made from the other half that they bought.
それだけじゃない。
It's not all either.
お夕飯用に作ったおかずも何皿かあって、それらにはみんなラップがされていた。
There were a whole bunch of plates with side dishes for dinner, and all of them were in plastic wrap. You usually plastic wrap things so that you can have leftovers for the next day. My mom does it all the time too, using them in breakfast or lunch.
そう。
That's right.
ラップって食べ残しとかを取っておくためにするものだよね。
You use plastic wrap to save leftovers for later.
冷蔵庫に入れたということは、少なくともその晩のうちには食べないつもりだったということ。
So the fact that they were in the fridge means that they didn't plan on eating them that night at least.
そういうことになるのか？
Is that what it means?
ケイチ君、
Keiichi-kun,
もっとよく考えて。
think a little harder.
お夕飯を全く手つけずでラップしてあったんだよ。
Their dinner was totally untouched and wrapped up.
どういうことだと思う？
What do you think that means?
じゃあ 夕食を食べる必要がなくなったわけだ。
Well, that means they didn't need to eat dinner anymore.
外食とか出前とかで。
So they would have gone out to eat or ordered takeout.
それも突然にね。
It must have been really sudden, too.
前もって決まっていたらお料理なんかしない。
They decided to do that beforehand. They wouldn't have made anything, but
そしてお夕食は2人分用意されていた。
there was dinner for the two of them.
つまりさとこちゃんは2人で食事ができると本当に直前までそう思って料理をしていたということなの。
That means that when Satoko-chan was making their dinner, they really thought they were going to eat it until right before they didn't.
じゃあ2人で遊びに行っていなくなったというのは間違いじゃないか。
So then, the theory about the two of them going out to play and then disappearing is wrong.
そう。
Yep.
つまりいなくなったのはお夕飯ができて夕食に至るまでの本当にわずかな時間。
They disappeared after making dinner and right before they ate it.
多分7時頃くらい。
Probably around 7 o'clock.
そんな時間に食事もせずに2人はどこへ行ったんだ。
Where would they have gone at a time like that by themselves without eating?
当然そこに行き着くよね。
It's obviously where this is leading.
ケイチくん覚えてるかな。
Keiichi-kun, do you remember?
折りたたみ机が置いてあってその上にお醤油や箸立てなんかが置いてあったのを。
On their fold-out table, there were things like soy sauce and a chopstick holder. There might have been something like that. I didn't remember.
お醤油の小瓶ね。
The container for the soy
空っ
sauce,
ぽだったの。
it was empty.
もう一滴も入ってなかった。
Wasn't even a drop left.
これじゃあ冷ややっこは美味しくないよね。
Chilled tofu wouldn't taste good without it.
だから私流しの下にある醤油の大瓶を探してみたの。
So I looked under their sink for the larger bottle of soy sauce they have.
よくそんなところにあるって知ってるな。
You sure know a lot about where they keep stuff.
私もリカちゃんの家に行ってお料理したことあったから。
I've been to Rika-chan's house and cooked for them before. Rena cleared her throat, her face returning to a serious expression.
でね、流しの下を開けてみたら醤油の大瓶が瓶ごとなかったの。
Then when I opened the cabinet, the big bottle of soy sauce wasn't there at all.
醤油の大瓶がないとどういう意味になるんだ。
It wasn't there. What does that mean?
ここから先は全部レナの想像だからね。
Everything I'm gonna say from here on is just Rena's idea.
だから最後まで口を挟まずに聞いていてね。
So please listen until the end without saying anything. Last night, Satoko was making dinner like normal. Rika-chan usually watched TV until the food was ready, so she was probably lying down watching a variety show or something. Satoko put the tofu in the miso soup, and right when dinner was about to be ready, she noticed that they were out of soy sauce. So Rika-chan, who had nothing to do, brought that big bottle of soy sauce to a neighbor's house to borrow theirs.
俺、ご近所付き合いってよくわからないんだが、醤油なんかって分けてもらえるものなのか？
I don't really know my neighbors that well. Would people be willing to just give her soy sauce?
うん。ひなみ沢ではそんなに珍しいことじゃないよ。
Yeah, it's not all that uncommon in Hinamizawa. So Rika-chan rode her bike out to get some soy sauce. No matter how long Satoko-chan waited though, Rika-chan didn't come back. So then Satoko-chan called up the house where Rika-chan was going. Would Rika happen to be imposing on you? Something like that. Then the other person must have replied with something like
う
this.
ちに食事の用意があるから、さとこちゃんもいらっしゃい。
We have plenty of food here, so you should come too, Satoko-chan.
リカちゃんはもう食べてるよって。
Rika-chan has already eaten.
きっとそんな感じで呼び出したんだと思う。
I think that's how they called her out there. Satoko called Rika a few names in private and wrapped up the dinner she had made for them. She put it in the fridge so she could use it for breakfast and lunch the next day. Then Satoko got on her bike too, and headed for the house where Rika-chan was.
でも、すでにこの時点でおかしいの。
Okay, but This is already pretty strange.
食事ってね、突然やってきた人に振る舞えるほど多めに作るものじゃないんだよ。
You don't normally make so much food that you can give it to people who suddenly arrived at your house. A veteran housewife would never normally make so much food that you could feed 2 extra people.
たまたま偶然作りすぎたことだって考えられるだろう。
Could it just have been a coincidence that they made too much?
それでも絶対に考えられない。
It's still unthinkable. Rena flatly denied me.
だってリカちゃんはさとこちゃんが頑張って作ったお夕飯がもうできてることを知ってるんだよ。
Since Rika-chan knew that Satoko-chan had worked really hard to make dinner for them, didn't she?
どんなにお夕飯を勧められたってさとこちゃんのお夕飯を無駄にするようなことをするわけがない。
No matter what kind of food she was offered, she wouldn't let Satoko-chan's dinner go to waste. This was only circumstantial evidence and Rena's guesswork. Even so, it was all extremely convincing. It was the only ray of hope we had to topple the situation bereft of clues.
じゃあレナ、
And Rena,
リカちゃんはどこへ醤油をもらいに行ったんだ？
where did Rika-chan go to get soy sauce? That was the heart of it. It would have to be somewhere she'd be comfortable with asking for soy sauce. Somewhere Satoko wouldn't think it suspicious that she'd been invited for dinner. So who was it? Rena slowly shook her head.
レナの推理はここまで。
That's all for Rena's guesses.
あくまでも想像だからね。
These are all just ideas, okay?
警察の人とかには内緒にしておいてね。
Keep them a secret from the police. What?
隠すことはないんじゃないか。
What is there to hide?
仮に半分しか合ってないとしても、きっとヒントにはなると思うぞ。
Even if only half of what you say is right, it should be a good clue for all this.
ケイチくん、
Keiichi-kun.
これってひなみ沢の人を疑うって意味だよ。
This all means suspecting someone from Hinamizawa.
確信もないのに村の人を疑えない。
You can't suspect anyone without a really good reason. I saw a few girls coming over to rinse out their bento boxes. Rena cut the conversation short there and returned to the classroom. I stayed there alone, my body bathed in the lively voices of the cicadas. Let's think about this. In my own way. Rena had barely any information to go on, and yet she'd reasoned out that much. So there should be something that only I, who knew far more than Rena did, could deduce. Uichi-san said this last night too, but this incident was definitely occurring within Hinamizawa. Rena might not have wanted to believe it, but it's basically a given that the culprit is someone from the village. Trigger for everything was when the 4 of us trespassed in the forbidden storehouse. Somebody saw us going in there. For the culprits, breaking the taboo was a crime punishable by death. So that night, Tomitake-san and Takano-san were sacrificed. There were 2 left. Shion and myself. However, before the culprits bore their fangs on Shion and me, they went after the mare, to whom Shion had confessed her sin. Next, they went for Rika-chan, to whom I'd confessed my sin. And what about Satoko? Just a stray bullet? By itself, Rika-chan being sacrificed after I told her everything was mortifying. But Satoko, who was sacrificed for no reason, isn't that all the more regrettable? Everything was my fault. Who would be the next to disappear? Would it be Shion and me next time? Why weren't the culprits going for Shion and me right away, though? If they had enough power to erase the mare and Rika-chan, then why not just get rid of Shion and me? If they went for us, I wouldn't like it, but I could still tolerate it. What I couldn't forgive was them getting rid of those we'd confessed to. Now that I think of it. Yesterday, Shion said something alarming. She felt like someone was watching her. So then, was someone watching me as well? Strangely, though, I hadn't felt anything like that until now. Even though I'm the root cause of everything, I never once had that impression. Maybe that was simply because Shion was more cautious than me and I was just careless. That's another story, though. Let's get back on track. When were the culprits going after Shion and me? I felt like that's where the key to this lay. Could it be... Was I making a big assumption that I shouldn't have been? I thought and thought, but I couldn't come up with an answer. The one thing I understood was that I was a concerned party to this case, and that I had a duty to watch over it until everything got resolved. I heard the ring of the bell declaring the end of lunch break. Did somebody else disappear tonight? Nobody else did. And I wanted them to get rid of me tonight for sure. And then put an end to all of this. Shion's hysterical voice on the phone last night came back to mind. They planned to murder those close to us first, make us as miserable as possible, and only then would they kill us. Mabara-kun, lunch break is over. Go back to the classroom. At the principal's urging, I returned to the classroom, which was as quiet as the streets at night. There were a lot of parents picking up their children after school. It was just like a kindergarten. The students whose parents didn't come went home as a group. We left school with everyone else, following the assigned route. Even while leaving, nobody said anything funny. They all looked like exhausted mountaineers silently marching through the mountains. As we went, one left, and then another, and in the end it was just Rena and me. I was supposed to escort Rena all the way to her house, but she declined. Will you be alright? It's not safe to go alone.
レナを送った後、一人で帰るケイチ君だって同じくらい不用心だよ。
It would be just as dangerous for you to go home by yourself after bringing me back, Keiichi-kun.
まだ明るいんだもの。
It's still light out anyway.
大丈夫。
I'll be fine.
そうか。
I see.
じゃあ気をつけてな。
Be careful, okay? Yeah.
あれ？
Huh?
あれ、警察の人じゃないかな。
Isn't that a policeman? Rena pointed towards my house. There was a car stopped in front of it. From out of that car came Uishi-san. He must have been waiting for my return to ambush me. Uishi-san started walking over wearing that annoying grin.
レナはもう行きな。
Rena, you should go.
あいつに絡まれると長い。
If you get involved with him, you'll be here for hours.
でも、どうして警察の人がケイチ君に用があるんだろう。
But what do the police want with you? Rena's a good person. Even when I made a fuss over Rika-chan's disappearance, she never asked me why I did. She could have been suspecting me ever since then, and that would have been okay. Even so, she still hadn't asked me anything. She didn't try and pressure me into revealing the truth.
俺は犯人じゃない。
I'm not the culprit.
そんなの知ってるよ。
I know that.
でも事件に何の関わりもないとは言い切れない。
That said, I can't say that I'm totally uninvolved with this incident. Rena simply listened, smiling like she always did. Even though I had insinuated I was related to the incident, she didn't look at me as though she was looking at something dirty.
今度話すよ。
I'll tell you next time. Okay,
待ってるね。
I'm looking forward to it.
じゃあ早く行きな。
Get going then. Rena gave me a slight bow and trotted away, leaving me alone with Uishi-san, who walked over.
どうもどうも。
Hello, hello.
おかえりなさい、前原さん。
Welcome home, my Baro-san.
どうも。
Hello.
ご家族はお留守みたいですね。
Looks like your parents aren't here.
いやはや困っていたんですよ。
My, was I in a bit of a spot? Came all the way to my house? I could only thank my good fortune that my parents were absent. Since neither of them was around at this hour, they'd probably be back late.
親父の仕事の関係で出かけてるんだと思います。
I think Dad got called out on business.
帰りは遅いと思いますよ。
I don't think he'll be back until later.
そうですか。
I see.
それは好都合です。
Well, that's convenient, I suppose.
親御さんに変な思いをさせずに済みます。
We can do this without giving your parents any strange ideas. Uji-san pushed my back, prompting me to walk. It seemed like he wanted me to get in the car.
警察に連行するんですか？
Are you taking me to the police station? I wasn't the culprit, but I was the cause of everything. It wouldn't be weird if he wanted to investigate me. That kind of gave me a resigned feeling.
いえいえ、立ち話もなんですから、車の中でお話ししようってだけですよ。
No, I just don't want to stand around talking. We can just talk in the car, that's all.
さあさあ、どうぞどうぞ。
Come now, don't be shy. He opened the back door and urged me inside. If I got in, I wouldn't have a very easy time getting out. If I said no, however, then this man might really handcuff me and take me away. I couldn't refuse. I could only accept in good grace. The inside of the car had been cooled too much by the air conditioner, and there was a rusty smell coming from the filter, which must have been cleaned only rarely.
ありゃ、冷えすぎます？
Oh, is it too cold?
切りましょうか。
I'll turn the car off. He turned off the engine and it suddenly became quiet, and the voices of the Higurashi, with all their cool loneliness, snuck inside. It sounded to me like a chorus of voices, lamenting my exorbitant punishment for having harbored such foolish curiosity. For a few moments, while listening to those voices, I myself lamented the days that had been twisted and distorted since that night. Luigi-san, as if waiting for me to voluntarily begin talking, lit a cigarette and listened to the Higurashi. The silence became deafening, and I was the one who folded first.
捜査の方はどうなってるんですか？
How was the investigation going?
捜査？
The investigation?
何のですか？
Of what?
最近はいっぱいありすぎて、どれのことやら。
There's been so many, which do you mean?
全部です。
All of them.
いいですよ。
Well, alright then.
本当は報道管制の敷かれた秘密捜査なんですが、あなたには特別に聞かせてあげましょう。
They're officially secret investigations, and we're under a media blackout, but I'll let you in on them.
じゃあ、最初の事件からいきます。
And shall we start from the first incident? The freak deaths of Tomitake-san and Takano-san on the night of the Watanagashi.
こっちはお恥ずかしいかな。さっぱり進展なしです。
On this one, embarrassingly enough, we haven't made any progress at all.
まずは富武さん。
First of all, Tomitake-san.
集団で暴行を受けた形跡はあるのですが、自分の喉をかき破るなんて異常な死に方の説明がつかないんです。
There are indications on his body that he was assaulted by a group of people. We have no explanation for him clawing his own throat out and dying.
何らかの薬物中毒を疑っているんですが、検出はされませんでした。
We suspect an overdose from a stimulant or something, but we didn't detect anything.
高野さんはどんな感じなんです？
What about Takano-san?
同じくさっぱりです。
Same. We're in the dark.
焼死死体は検視が非常に困難でして、
Autopsy for those who are burned to death are real tough.
首を絞められた後にガソリンをかけられたんじゃないかと見ています。
We believe she was doused in gasoline after she was strangled.
管轄が岐阜県産でね。
That one falls under the Gifu Prefecture's police department.
あちらさん、自分たちの縄張りの事件だからって あんまり協力的じゃないんですよ。
They haven't been very cooperative, even though it happened in our territory.
これは関係ない話ですね。
Oh, that's not really relevant, though. So the police didn't know anything other than the fact that the victims died inexplicably.
ですが、犯行時間はおおむねお祭りが終わった直後だろうと見ています。
Nonetheless, the times when the incidents occurred had been generally placed right after the festival ended.
高野さんの方はちょっとあやふやですが、富武さんとほぼ同じ時刻に殺害され、岐阜の山中に遺棄されたと考えるのが妥当でしょうな。
It's a bit uncertain in Takano-san's case, but the likely prospect is she was murdered at about the same time as Tomitake-san, then dumped in the mountains in Gifu.
どうしてわざわざ遠くの山まで死体を運んだんでしょう。
Why would they bring a dead body all the way to the mountains?
富武さんも同じように遠くへ運べばよかったのに。
They should have just brought Tomitake-san out there too.
ありゃ、前原さん、あなたなかなかどうして鋭いですね。
Oh my. Maibara-san, you're quite sharp, you know that.
もちろん、私もそこは注目すべき点だと思っていますよ。
Of course, I do believe that is something we need to be attentive of.
他にもいくつか不審点はありますが、まあ現時点でお話しできるのはこのくらいです。
There are a bunch of other suspicious things, but this is about all I can tell you at this point.
村長さんの方はどうですか。
How about the mayor?
何か手がかりはありましたか。
Have there been any clues? Having exhausted that topic, I changed the subject. Otherwise, he might turn the conversation on me.
失踪された一日の足取りを調べました。
We investigated his movements on the day he disappeared.
手がかりになるようなものは見つかりませんでしたが、一応お話ししましょうか。
We didn't find anything that could provide any clues, but I'll tell you about it anyway. The mayor, Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Apparently he was suffering from severe hemorrhoids.
古い生まれの方って非常にプライドが高いんですよね。
People who've lived a long time have an unusual amount of pride.
それで村長さん、誰にも内緒で鹿骨市内にある大学病院の肛門科に通われていたんです。
So the mayor hadn't been telling anyone that he was going to a proctologist at a certain university hospital in Shishibone.
失踪当日、村長さんは診察の予約が取ってあったんで、朝一で出かけられました。
On the day he disappeared, he had an appointment for a checkup, so he went out first thing in the morning. Even I knew that big hospitals like university hospitals had a really long waiting time. Apparently people would get in line hours beforehand, even if they had an appointment.
診察が終わったのは午後1時頃です。
His exam ended at 1 p.m.
その後、病院内のレストランで軽食を取られ、雑誌を読みながら時間を潰されました。
After that, he ate a light meal in the hospital restaurant and passed the time reading a magazine.
この辺りのことは、自宅にあったお財布の中のレシートで分かってます。
We know this because of a receipt we found in his wallet at his house. There's nothing suspicious at all about that.
その日は夕方から神社の集会場で会合の予定があったんです。
That day, he had planned to go to a meeting in the assembly hall in the evening.
それで余裕を持ってお帰りになるはずだったんですが、途中電車で人身事故がありましてね。
He was supposed to return home with plenty of time to spare, but while he was on the train coming back, there was an accident.
どうもそれで足止めを食ってしまったらしく、家に着いたのは会合の時間の直前でした。
Seems it delayed him a bit, and he only got back to his house right before the meeting was scheduled to start.
ご家族が大慌てで神社の集会場に出かけていく村長さんを目撃しています。
His family witnessed a very hectic mayor leaving to go to the assembly hall at the shrine.
会合ってのは何だったんですか。
What was the meeting about?
確かその会合の帰り道に失踪してるんですよね。
He disappeared on his way back home, right?
会合は御三家と町会の主要役員が集まってのものでした。
The three families and the essential members of the town assembly were at the meeting.
今年も起こってしまった連続開始事件の対応について協議したものと思われます。
We think they were discussing how to deal with the serial freak death incidents that happened again this year. So then, on his way home, the old man who had treated Shion like his own daughter, he He was a dependable person who would encourage Shion whenever she felt pressured by anxiety, and yet... Shion's painful voice struck me right in the heart. Hmm?
あれ
Huh?
どうなさいました？
What's the matter? I was taken aback by how strange my own voice sounded. What was it that just surprised me? I squeezed my head with my hands to try and drag back out what I only realized for a split second. Remember, Keiichi Maibara. I just realized something. Something important. The night of Watanagashi. That was when everything started. That night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. The next morning, word of the incident spread throughout Hinamizawa. They planned to talk about it during the evening meeting. The mayor, however, had an appointment at the hospital, and as planned, he went there without telling his family. He got a checkup at the hospital. Ate something. And then there was an unexpected delay on his train ride back. When he returned, the meeting was already about to start. The mayor changed his clothes, got on his bicycle, and hurried to the assembly hall at the shrine as fast as he could. From when he heard about the incident on the night of Watanagashi until when he showed up at the assembly hall, everything he was doing that day was done in secret. During that time, nobody found out that he went to the hospital alone. He ate alone. And he got on the train alone. That all meant he had absolutely no contact with anyone else. Couldn't have even called him on the phone. Okay, but what does that mean, Keiichi Maibara? Why does that matter, Keiichi Maibara? Ah. Kei-chan, what should I do?
どうした
What's wrong?
話せよ
Tell me.
俺たちの間で隠し事はなしだろ
We're not keeping secrets from each other, right?
私君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
I told man Kimiyoshi, I told him everything. I told him everything. I told old man Kimiyoshi everything.
村長さんに私あの晩最後でに忍び込んだこと打ち明けたんです。
That night, I told the mayor that we snuck into the ritual storehouse.
誰かにそれを見られてて私たちを狙っている人がいるって。
Also that someone saw us and was out to get us.
あ
Right.
それで
What then?
君吉のおじいちゃん怒らなかった。
Old man Kimiyoshi didn't get angry.
そしてにっこり笑ってしおちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら鬼隠しになんかなるものかって。
He smiled and told me that if I was properly sorry about it, there was no way I'd be demoned away.
本当に笑いながら任せなさい。
He was really smiling, and he told me to leave it to him. Sweat burst out of my body like bullets. They became one long strand and slid down from my forehead to my nose, and fell. So then, what does it mean? Hey, Keiichi Maibara, no more playing dumb. When did she tell him? Shion said she learned of the incident from a phone call her father had made that morning. The mayor had left the house first thing in the morning for his appointment at the hospital. He didn't tell anybody where he was going. Nobody knew about him going to the university hospital. Furthermore, his train ride back to his house was delayed by an accident. As soon as he got home, he rushed out to the assembly hall. Then the meeting at the assembly hall began, and continued until it was dark out. Then everyone left. Nobody saw him after the meeting was over. He just disappeared. Which meant...
前原さん、
Maibara-san,
大丈夫ですか？
you alright?
やっぱり暑いならクーラー入れますよ。
If it's too hot, I can turn on the air conditioner, Another part of me was messing with my thoughts, demanding that I didn't think any further than that. My head was pounding violently, and the fluids packed inside it all blended together until nothing made sense. It was just about to settle, yet it had been smashed and melted in the blink of an eye, no longer able to retain its shape.
前原さん、
Maibara-san,
もしもし、
are you in there?
はい。
Yeah. Uji-san lit yet another cigarette. There was yet another cigarette butt placed in the ashtray. Was it displaying the passage of time? Had my thoughts been frozen over for that long?
私、知ってる限りのことを話したつもりです。
I've tried to tell you everything I know.
お返しに、今度は前原さんの話を聞かせてもらってもいいですよね。
In return, feel free to tell me anything you want, Maibara-san. My mind had become a gigantic oozing mess. My brain felt like it had been totally minced by the blades of a blender, and I couldn't think.
ほらほら、また黙り込む。
Oh, now, don't clam up again.
もし誤解があるようなら先に解いておきたいんですがね。
If there are any misunderstandings, I'd like to clear them up first.
私は別にあなたが犯人だなんて思っちゃいないんです。
I don't think you're the culprit here or anything. Uishi-san gave his best attempt at an adult smile.
あの晩、あなたたち4人が西宮殿に忍び込んだことは知っています。
I know the four of you snuck into the ritual storehouse that night.
次の日にはもう村の知る人は誰でも知る噂になってましたからね。
Everyone in the village heard rumors about it by the next day.
それ自体は不法侵入として問われるべきことですが、問題はそれじゃない。
That in itself means we should take you in for trespassing, but that isn't the problem.
そこで何があったかなんです。
It's what was inside.
忍び込んだ人間が次々と犠牲になるような何があったのか。
What was inside that made the people who snuck in there end up as sacrifices?
何もなかったです。
There wasn't anything. As soon as I said it, I regretted confirming my presence there, but I knew it didn't matter anymore.
本当に何もなかったんですか？
Was there really nothing in there?
だって現にこうして中に入った人たちが次々と犠牲になってるんですよ。
I mean, everyone who went in is being sacrificed one by one, you know.
しかも扉の鍵を付け替えた村長やリカさんまで犠牲に。
Even the mayor and Rika-san who switched the lock on the door were sacrificed.
それだけの事態を引き起こす何があの中にあったんです？
What was inside that could have caused such terrible things to happen? I was far too tired of keeping quiet about this. Perhaps that was Uishi-san's goal all along, but again, that didn't matter anymore.
大昔に使った拷問道具がたくさんしまってありました。
There were just a lot of torture devices that were used a long time ago.
それを高野さんたちと見て回りました。
I looked around at them with everyone.
本当にそれだけ？
Was that really all?
本当にそれだけです。
That was really all.
口封じをされるようなとんでもないものが隠してあったんじゃないですか？
There was nothing terrible in there that would keep you silent?
例えば覚醒剤の山とか
Like a pile of psychoactive drugs.
消しの秘密工場があったとか
Maybe a secret poppy workshop?
あるいはソ連か中国あたりの拳銃が山ほど積まれていたと
Perhaps there were mountains of Soviet or Chinese handguns.
不審な木箱やコンテナが山積みされてませんでしたか？
There weren't any suspicious wooden boxes or containers packed in there? There was nothing as exaggerated as what Uishi-san was hoping for, but I felt like in a way there were plenty of terrible things hidden in there. From the perspective of someone who viewed the storehouse as sacred, whether or not I thought I had seen some crazy things didn't matter in the slightest. The four of us broke the taboo. Punish us. That should have been what happened.
西宮殿に何か秘密があるんじゃないかと思って捜査令状を請求したんですがね。
We put in a request for a search warrant thinking there might have been some secrets hidden in the storehouse.
もう空前絶後の妨害工作がありまして。
Ah, it's been the sabotage of the century.
信仰の対象に対する侮辱であり、憲法で定めた信仰の自由をなんたらかんたら。
They said it would be an insult to religious figures and something about the right to free religion in the Constitution.
いやもう。
Ah, jeez.
だから実際に入ったあなたに聞くほかなかったんですよ。
That's why I really didn't have any other recourse but to ask you since you went in there.
本当に古い錆びて埃をかぶった拷問道具しかなかったです。
There really was just old, rusty, dusty torture equipment.
他に目立つものなんて何もなかったです。
Nothing else stood out.
では、富武さんたちが殺されたのは禁忌を破ったからという制裁だけなんですかね。
Then Tomitake-san and Takano-san were only killed as a punishment for having broken the taboo? I didn't have an answer for the only part.
もういちいち隠しませんけどね。
I suppose I won't bother hiding it anymore.
あなただけが今日まで被害を免れてるんです。
You're the only one to escape harm so far.
あなた以外は全員が消えたのに、あなただけが無事なんです。
Everyone but you has disappeared, and yet you alone are safe.
あなたが無事で、あなた以外が被害に遭う。どんな違いがあったのか。
What's the difference between you and them that would protect you, but bring harm to the others?
それが知りたいんです。
That's what I want to know. There's something wrong with what Uishi-san was saying. Yeah, where's Shion? You alone. You alone. What?
ちょっと待ってください。
Wait a second.
あなただけがってどういう意味ですか？
What do you mean by you alone?
ですから、あなただけが最後の生き残りなんじゃないですか。
I'm saying that you alone have been left alive, right?
西宮殿に忍び込んだコソ泥4人組の
Out of the 4 people who tiptoed into the storehouse for ritual implements, I mean. The only one left alive? Hold on. Shion was
あ
still...
の晩に富武二郎さんと高野美代さんが死に、翌日園崎紫音さんが失踪しました。
Jiro Tomitake-san and Mio Takano-san died that night, and Shion Sonozaki disappeared the next day.
あなただけが無事に今日までを過ごしてるんです。
Only you are still safe and sound at this point. Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa, whoa! Hold on. What do you mean by Shion Sonozaki disappeared the next day? That was a while ago. That was a bit ago. I've talked to her since then. Or have I?
なぜあなただけなのか。
Why only you?
私はそれが知りたいと言ってるんです。
I'm saying that's what I want to know.
シオンが失踪したって？
Shion disappeared?
そんなバカな。
That's impossible. I unintentionally raised my voice. I didn't care about that. Tomitake-san died. Takano-san died. And Shion disappeared? When did she disappear? What is this guy talking about?
ありゃ？特にご存知だったとばかり。
Oh, well now. But you were long since aware of this.
そんなのは初めて聞いた。
This is the first I've heard of it.
シオンが失踪した？いつ？
Shion disappeared? When?
遡ると綿流しの次の日に失踪していたことになります。
Well, going back a bit, she disappeared the day after Watanagashi. Going back a bit? Stop saying stuff I don't understand. It was so hard not to point out the fact that we hadn't actually seen Shion in person for a while. Oh.
園崎紫音さんはその日の気分で親類の家を泊まり歩いたりしますので、 所在不明が当たり前なんですよ。
Shion Tsunazaki spends the night at relatives' houses, depending on her mood on any given day, so no one thought much of her not knowing where she was.
学校も気分一つでよく休みますしね。
She frequently takes days off from school, too.
先生も困り果ててました。
Her teacher has been pretty troubled by it.
そんなことは聞いてない。
Didn't ask about any of that.
シオンはいつ失踪したかって聞いてるんだ。
I'm asking you when Shion disappeared.
ですから、綿流しの次の日です。
I told you it was the day after Watanagashi. The fluids in my body all reversed direction. I lost my sense of balance, and everything I could see started to warp and twist out of shape. Simply couldn't endure it. Hang on. Shion had already disappeared? Then... That night, that phone call. Who was that? She called me every night. She encouraged me. We vowed that we would do our best to live on and not be erased. Yes, that should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion.
学校は平気で休むし、それを自宅に知らせても取り合ってもらえないから、学校もいちいち電話しない。
She took breaks from class like it was nothing, and her family wouldn't listen when the school told them, so they mostly don't bother calling anymore.
そんなこんなで、彼女が失踪したことに気づくのに、だいぶ時間がかかったんですよ。
So it ended up taking quite a while before we realized she disappeared. I felt a stabbing pain like needles were being pushed into every pore of my body. It started on my back and began spreading throughout the rest of me. When it had completely covered the surface of my skin, it began to worm its way inside my stomach as well.
ほら、覚えてませんか？
Don't you remember?
綿流しの次の日に、私たち図書館でお会いしたでしょう。
We talked at the library the day after
あの
Watanagashi.
時、シオンさんもいましたよね。
Shion-san was there then.
あれが最後の目撃なんです。
That was the last we saw of her.
あの後、彼女の所在は確認されてないんです。
No one knows where she's been since.
そんなバカな。
That's...
そんなバカな。
It can't be. That day, Uishi-san had only caught me, and Shion bounded away lying that she needed to get to work. Didn't she call me that night?
エンジェルモートっていうファミレスのバイトですよね。
Her job was at a restaurant called Angel Mort, right?
あの日から無断欠勤です。
She hasn't been there since that day.
今日に至るまで全てを無断欠勤してるんです。
She's been completely absent ever since.
お店の人も連絡を取ろうにも取れず困りきってましたよ。
The person at the restaurant couldn't get in touch with her. He was really worried.
そんなバカな。
That can't be.
そんなバカな。
It can't be.
状況証拠だけですがね。
It's only circumstantial evidence, but
図書館でお別れしてからバイト先に向かうまで、
after she left us at the library, but before she made it to work,
この間に失踪したと考えるのが妥当でしょうね。
I think it's appropriate to consider her having disappeared during that time. Right after Shion ran away without me?
ご存知なかったみたいですね。
It seems that you didn't know.
なら、先に話せばもっと話が早かったかな。
Maybe if you said something earlier, this would have gone more quickly.
もう、これでご理解いただけたでしょう。
Now you understand, right?
あとは、あなただけなんです。
You're the only one left.
あなただけが、西宮殿に忍び込んだ4人の生き残りなんです。
You're the only survivor of the four who slipped into the ritual storehouse. Couldn't be. Just couldn't be.
次に何か起こるとすれば、それは、あなたなんです。
If something else happens, it would happen to you.
前原さん、どうかご理解を。
I need you to understand that, my Bara-san. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Shion had already disappeared? It couldn't be. It couldn't be. I talked to her the day before yesterday. I talked to her last night. She was going to call me again today. Or was Shion on the phone? Shion on the phone. from Shion.
シオンさんはとっくに失踪してるんです。
Shion has long since disappeared.
次はあなたなんですよ。
Next will be you. Then, who was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? That's tough, Keiichi. Look, man, I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I'm going to say right now, it's time to just spill the beans. And you gotta tell Uishi everything. Lay down on the couch and stay there dazed for a while. Mind was completely blank. I couldn't think about anything for more than a few seconds. There was a note in my house saying that Mom and Dad would be home late and that I should have some ramen or something for dinner. I could make it whenever I got hungry, but I had no appetite, so I just stared blankly at the ceiling without eating anything. The hands of the clock were already pointing at 10. Would I get another phone call like that today? Even though Shion had already disappeared. Did she still call me? Where were they calling from, and who were they? The more I thought about it, the more I started to tremble. I even thought about just disconnecting the phone line. If I had been thinking a little less logically, I really would have done it too. Hold on, Keiichi Maibara. Uishi-san admitted it himself, didn't he? The Shion went missing a lot? Couldn't she have just gone to relatives that Uishi-san didn't know about and have been there ever since? Shion and I were both being targeted by somebody, so it wouldn't be strange to think she went somewhere she usually didn't in order to hide. That must have been why Uishi-san couldn't locate her, and why he labeled her a disappearance. Yeah, that had to be it. Shion hadn't disappeared at all. Then my right hand moved of its own volition and slapped me on the cheek. Its cold sting let me calm down a little. Don't just convince yourself of the most convenient possibility, Keiichi Maibara. I knew I didn't want to admit she had disappeared. Admitting it would mean that something terrifying was definitely happening. I just needed to figure out whether Shion was the one on the phone or not. Would I ask her if she was actually Shion? That seemed like an incredibly absurd thing to do. Still, don't run from this, Keiichi. If the person on the other end still believed that I thought she was Shion, then that gave me a tiny advantage. Casually, completely casually, I would listen to what she had to say. And fend her off. I would tear the skin off the monster. It would definitely be really scary for me. However, as the last survivor of the people who went into the storehouse that night, this was my duty to perform. Still, then who would call me and pretend to be Shion? I may have only heard her over the phone, but her voice shouldn't be that easy to replicate. It was definitely Shion's voice. It sounded just like her. Could have only been Shion. There was someone there, wasn't there? Someone who sounded just like Shion. Mion. Who else could have done this? At this point, seriously, after all this time, all those little things that didn't quite make sense about Mion until now overwhelmed my mind. Like being questioned about sneaking into the ritual storehouse, and how she shook the ladder while spouting curses. Who else? Who else could have? Why, though? Why would Mion... I thought back to the things about the Sonozaki family that I had heard from Ueshi-san and Shion. Mion was always entangled in the incidents, in a position where she was omnipotent. Some of that information included things that Shion had told me after she disappeared. I madly scratched at my head. Courage. Give me the courage. Just a little bit of courage to pick up the phone. I know it'll ring tonight. It would be so easy to run away. That, though, would be the same as making it easy for them to erase me. I cannot run. I must stand up and face it. After all, the next sacrifice would definitely be me. I was sure Shion would use tricky words to try and trap me. Be careful, be careful. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. Oh no. At that point, it rang. The phone rang, and I didn't know where the call was coming from. Shion had disappeared. Disappeared a long time ago. Disappeared the night after Watanagashi. Yet, till today, she had been calling me like nothing happened. Now again tonight. The corpses simply haven't been found. Really didn't think they were alive. So if it really was Shion on the other end, does that mean she was calling me from another world? Of course that couldn't be. A living being was calling me, pretending to be Shion. Shion was long gone. And yet, as though she were alive and well. The phone continued its incessant ringing. I didn't want to pick up if I didn't have to. I had just concluded, though, that not doing so wouldn't solve anything. Then, what would I do after I answered it? Would I merely declare she wasn't Shion and ask who she was? Alternatively, would I pretend I was still fooled and try to grab her by the tail?
それが一番安全かもしれないよな。
That would probably be the safest thing to do. What I was most afraid of was what the person on the phone would do when she realized she wasn't Shion. However, as long as I continued to let her think I was fooled, she wouldn't do anything extreme, right? If I just make sure to be careful, that should be the safest option. I've made up my mind. I'll answer the phone. Once I do that, I'll talk to her as if nothing happened. That wasn't all I'd do this time, though. I'd scope her out. Who was she? What was she thinking? What was she after? Why was she doing this? Is she really the one who killed Tomitake-san and Takano-san? What happened to the mayor? What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko? I reached out for the receiver, my arm trembling. There were too many things I wanted to know, too many things I wanted to ask. I was scared. I should start by picking up the phone. Get up, Keiichi. Pick it up, Keiichi.
もしもし。
Hello? Oh, how relieved I would have been if it hadn't been a call from Shion.
ケイちゃんですか？
Ah, Kei-chan?
私です。
It's me,
シオンです。
Shion. My momentary, convenient, and above all fleeting prediction was ripped into 1,000 pieces. I couldn't help shaking at this point. Get ready for this.
電話、なかなか出なかったんで、お留守かと思って切ろうとしてたんですよ。
You took a long time to pick up. I thought you weren't home and I was about to hang up.
ごめん。
Sorry.
ちょっとお風呂に入っててさ。
I was just in the bath.
それでも、ご家族の方が電話を取りませんか？
Did your family not pick up for you?
ひょっとして、 ゃんの家、今ご両親はお留守なんですか？
Could your parents be out right now, Kei-chan? I failed. I let her in on a fatal piece of information. That was currently the only one at my house. Oh, bad shit always happens when you're home alone.
いや別に留守ってわけじゃそんなことより
Well, no, they're not really. Anyway,
聞いたか
you heard?
リカちゃんとサトコの件
About Rika-chan and Satoko?
いえ、
No.
結局あの後どうなったんですか？
What happened after that?
見つかったんですか？
Were they found?
ああ
Nah,
見つからなかった
they weren't found.
ケイちゃん、どうか気を落とさないで。
Kei-chan, please don't lose hope. If Uji-san hadn't let me know, then I might have allowed myself to shed a tear or two at Shion's considerate words. Instead, now that it had come to this, I couldn't take her words at face value. This person on the other end of the receiver, the more perfect as Shion they were, the more my blood curdled in fear.
リカちゃんとサトコは
Rika-chan and Satoko,
さらわれたんだよな
they were kidnapped, weren't they?
はい、
Yes.
それは間違いないでしょうね。
I don't think there's much doubt. Just how cruel and grave a meaning do those words hold? Their weight astonished me, and then a moment later, I was overcome with numbness and felt like I would pass out. I had asked if Rika-chan and Satoko had been kidnapped. Shion, in turn, had answered that there wasn't much doubt. That cruel meaning behind her words.
リカちゃんとサトコはあいやごめん
Rika-chan and Satoko were... no, I mean... I'm sorry.
その村長さんはさらわれてどうなったと思う
About the mayor. What do you think happened after he was kidnapped?
まだ生きてるんだろうか
You think he's still alive? What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko after they were kidnapped? That's what I wanted to ask, but I frankly caught myself. What if she had given that question a terrifying response in such a way to sound like it had nothing to do with her? I was scared of that, so I immediately brought up the mayor. That said, however much I
殺さ
took...
れちゃったんだと思います。
Oh, you interrupted me. I think he was killed.
おいおいそんなにあっさり
Hey, wait. That was quick.
人間をさらってその状態を維持するのってとても大変なことだと思います。
I think it must be really hard to kidnap someone and keep them like they are.
人質にするんでもない限り、用が済んだら殺しちゃうのが一番合理的じゃないかと。
As long as they're not hostages, it'd be more practical to kill them once you were done with them. The world started to bend so much I almost lost my balance. The scenery in my eyes whirled around and around like the hands of a clock, and tried to swallow me whole from below. I frantically put a hand on the wall to support myself. A moment later, a severe nausea welled up within me. Was she saying such things so lightly?
殺しちゃうってそんなにあっさり
What the hell is this music? Kill them so readily.
人の命を何だと思ってやがるんだ
I mean, what's a human life or two anyway?
恐ろしいことだとは思いますが、
It's a horrible thing, but
多分そうではないかと。
I think that's probably what happened. If the mayor was killed, did that mean the same had happened to Rika-chan and Satoko? No, that couldn't... They weren't some random old man. It was Rika-chan. It was Satoko. They couldn't kill them so readily. This song is called Fascism, one of the most iconic tracks in the game. Fascism, huh?
リカちゃまとサトコちゃんも同じだと思った方がいいでしょうね。
It's probably better to think that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan ended up the same way. Yeah. Those were the words I wanted to hear the least, and I fought them back with a scream of my own. Even though it wouldn't change anything, I still couldn't help but scream. This time, the tears flowed. I'd been confronted with the most horrific outcome that I'd been trying to avoid considering ever since last night, and I cried. There was no longer any doubt that it was my fault. I killed them. I killed Rika-chan and Satoko. I succumbed to the weakness of my own heart and confessed everything to Rika-chan. That's why they were killed. That meant I killed them. Rika-chan looked at me with those innocent eyes. Only I hadn't given in. Even my voice gave out, and yet still I cried. And cried.
ケイちゃん、
Kei-chan,
どうか気を確かに。
please, just try and calm down. Rika-chan and Satoko, they've been killed. We couldn't even find the remains. I would never be allowed to even apologize to their faces. And if that was to be my punishment, then how brutal a punishment it was. I think Shion tried to comfort me, but I didn't hear any of it.
そんなことでどうするんですか？
What are you going to gain by doing that?
次に狙われるのは確実に私かケイちゃんなんですよ。
They're definitely going to target you and me next.
お願いですから、しっかりしてください。
Please, I'm asking you, get a hold of yourself.
お願いします。
Please. OMG, I love Higurashi. I don't.
お願いしますから。
Please. Shion was shouting, imploring me with a voice that sounded like tears were in her eyes. However, I was coming to hate the sound of that voice more and more. This Shion killed them. I had no doubts that this person killed them. Why? Why?
どうしてだよ
Why?
どうして人をさらったり殺したりするんだよ
I kidnap someone and then kill them.
たたりだかなんだか知らないが人の命ってのはそんなに安いのかよ
Screw curses. Are people's lives really that cheap?
あっさり消したり殺したり
Erasing them and killing them without a second thought like this. You're right.
全くです。
You're absolutely right.
悪魔ですよね。
It would take a demon. I felt like crushing the receiver in my hand. How long did this person plan on acting like it was someone else's problem? There was magma in the pit of my stomach, and I felt like it was going to erupt at any moment.
なあシオン
Hey, Shion,
教えてくれ
please tell me.
どうしてこのひなみ沢では綿流しの夜に人が死ななければならないことになってしまったんだ
Why did Hinamizawa start needing someone to die on the night of Watanagashi?
それは私が知りたいです。
That's what I'd like to know.
もうダム計画との戦いは終わったんだぞ
The fighting over the dam project is already over and done with.
なのにどうしてまだたたり足りないんだ
Haven't enough people been cursed already?
どうしてだよどうして
Why is it? Why?
理由があるなら言ってみろよ
There's a reason, then say it now. I was incoherent at this point. My emotions had broken through the dam inside of me, rushing forth, and I couldn't stop them. These were not simple questions. This was an interrogation. Shion herself hadn't realized it yet. It was just too funny. It was so funny that I couldn't stop crying.
ケイちゃんの気持ち、私もよくわかります。
I understand how you feel, Kei-chan, I really do.
ダム闘争はとっくの昔に終わったんです。
The dam wars ended a long time ago.
なのに毎年、お社様のたたりという名の殺人と失踪が繰り返されている。
Yet murders and disappearances keep happening every year under the guise of Oyashiro-sama's curse.
なぜ
Why?
どうしてなんですか
Why is it happening?
全然関係ない人もいた。たたられるのに不相応な人だっていたのに、どうして
Some of them had nothing to do with this, and some of them didn't deserve to be cursed, so why? Why?
それを俺が聞いてるんだ
That's what I'm asking you!
それを私だって知りたいんですよ
I want to know that as much as anyone! Both our ragged breaths could be heard over the phone.
いいですか？
Listen,
お社様のたたりなんて非現実的なものは初めから存在しません。
Oyashiro-sama's curse never existed. It's too unrealistic.
ケイちゃんの言う通り、村の何者かがお社様のたたりというもっともらしい大義名分を利用して綿流しのたびに殺しと失踪を繰り返しているんです。
Just like you said, someone in the village is using the grand name of Oyashiro-sama's curse as a justification for continuing these murders and disappearances every Watanagashi.
奴らは狡猾でした。
They were cunning.
たたりを都合よく利用して村の仇敵を毎年2人ずつ消し去るシステムを構築していったんです。
They've been using the curse as a convenient tool and made a system where they could get rid of 2 enemies in the village every year.
そしてこのシステムで今年は高野さんたちが殺された。
And this year, that system killed Takano-san and Tomitake-san.
じゃあ2人で十分じゃねえかよ。
Then why wasn't that enough?
どうして村長やリカちゃんやサトコまで殺されなくちゃならないんだよ。
Why did the mayor and Rika-chan and Satoko have to get killed too?
それに俺は過去のことは今さらどうでもいいんだ。
I don't give a shit about the past.
リカちゃんとサトコがなぜ殺されなくちゃならなかったのか、その一点にしか興味はないんだ。
The only thing I care about is why Rika-chan and Satoko needed to be killed.
どうしてなんだ。
Why is that?
サトコには打ち上げですらないんだぞ。
I didn't say a word to Satoko, you know?
どうしてサトコまで。
Why even her?
どうしてなんだ。
Why? A silence fell between us. Shion didn't answer for a while.
ケイちゃん、もういじめないでください。
Hey-chan, please, stop being mean. A sob. Was Shion crying?
私だって何が何だかわからないんです。
I don't have any idea what's going on either.
最後殿に忍び込んだあの晩から
Everything,
全てが変わってしまった。
everything changed when we went to the ritual storehouse that night. It was the same for me. As I listened to Shion's bitter weeping, I could feel my agitation subsiding.
あの晩、高野さんたちが死んだと聞き、耳を疑いました。
When I heard that Takano-san and Tomitaka-san had been killed that night, I doubted my ears.
そしてすぐに気づいたんです。
Then I realized it instantly.
今度は自分が狙われる立場になったんだって。
I realized what sort of a position I was in now.
忍び込んだのは私たち4人。
The 4 of us snuck in there.
私とケイちゃんだけが都合よく許してもらえるわけがない。
Kei-chan, you and I won't be so conveniently forgiven.
そう思ったとき、それがどれだけ心細くて恐ろしいことだったか、ケイちゃんにはわかりますよね。
When I thought about that, it made my chest so tight. It was so terrifying. You know that feeling, Kei-chan, don't you? There was nothing fake about her words. She'd even understood how I felt.
だから私、君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
That's why I confessed everything to old man Kimiyoshi.
私はみんなが入ってはいけないという最後殿に面白半分な気持ちで踏み入ってしまいました。
All of us entered the forbidden storehouse. It was just a little bit of fun.
いけないことだとは分かっていましたが、本当に面白半分な気持ち、ちょっとした探検気分のつもりだったんです。
We knew we shouldn't have done it. It really had just been for fun. It was only a bit of exploration, that was all.
一緒に入った高野さんたちはその後すぐに殺されてしまいました。それもあんなむごい最後。
Takano-san and Tomitake-san, who went in with us, were killed shortly afterward. Met such miserable ends.
あの日からいつ私も襲われるのではないかと怯えています。
Since that day, I've been living in fear of when I would be attacked.
君吉のおじいちゃんしか助けてくれる人がいません。だからおじいちゃん、助けてって。
There was nobody except old man Kimiyoshi who would help me, so I asked him to save me.
君吉のおじいちゃん、怒らなかった。
Old man Kimiyoshi. He wasn't mad.
そしてにっこり笑って、シオンちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら鬼隠しになんかなるものかって。
He smiled and said, "If you're really sorry, Shion-chan, you'd never be demoned away."
本当に笑いながら任せなさいって。
He really did smile at me. Told me to leave it to him. Shion cried bitterly, recalling the beloved mare's death. It was such a sad voice that none who heard it could prevent it from twisting their hearts. Again, I let my emotions take over and go off at her. Shion was in the same situation as me. She should have been my one and only comrade. Thump. My heart pounded. My other self, deeper than my mind, whispered to me, "Don't forget, Keiichi Maibara. Don't forget about the mare on the morning after Watanagashi." He was told of Takano-san and Tomitaka-san's deaths over the phone and committed to a meeting that evening. He went to a hospital appointment. He didn't tell his family. He'd only made it back just in time for the meeting. He went straight to the assembly hall. That's what Uishi-san said.
いつ
When
村長に打ち明けたんだよ。
did you let the mayor know? Huh?
ごめんな、シオン。
I'm sorry, Shion.
悲しい気持ちのところに追い打ちをかけるようで、
It must seem like I'm kicking you while you're down, but
シオンは打ち明けたんだよな。
Shion, you told him, right?
君吉のおじいちゃん、つまり村長に。
You told old man Kimiyoshi, the mayor.
はい。
Yes.
いつ打ち明けたんだよ。
When did you let him know? Huh? I'd begun to get scared, saying it aloud after hearing her sad voice. I wasn't saying it was contradictory, though. Besides, if there was a contradiction, then I wanted Shion to explain it to me.
村長さんは重い痔を患ってて、病院にかかっていたという話は知ってるか？
Did you know that the mayor had a severe case of hemorrhoids and had gone to the hospital for treatment?
ケイちゃん、
Kei-chan?
それが何か。
What does that have to...
答えてくれ。
Please, answer me.
知らないなら知らないと答えればいい。
If you didn't know, then just say so. There was a momentary silence. Then, after stammering a few times, she replied,
痔だったのは知ってます。
I knew that he had hemorrhoids.
座る時とか辛そうでしたから。
It looked like sitting down was really hard for him.
病院に通ってたんだ。
He was going to the hospital.
どこの病院かは知ってるよな。
You know which hospital, right?
ごめんなさい。それはちょっと知りませんけど。
I'm sorry, I don't know that much, but
でも、ケイちゃん、それが一体何の。
what does that have to do with... Shion didn't know what hospital the mayor went to. That meant it was impossible for her to have gone all the way to the hospital to confess everything. Since she didn't know his destination, then she obviously couldn't have seen him on the train either. If there was any other chance for her to contact him, it would have been after he came to Hinamizawa. The train, however, had been delayed, and he only got back right before the meeting was about to start. He didn't have time. There wouldn't have been enough time for him to listen to Shion spill the beans.
担当直入に聞きたいんだ。
I want to ask you straight.
シオンはいつ村長に打ち明けたんだ？
Shion, when did you tell the mayor about everything?
どこで？
When and where?
大雑把でいいから教えてほしいんだ。
Your answer doesn't have to be precise, but please, just give me one.
ケイちゃん、なんでそんなことを。
Kei-chan, why are you asking that? Kei-chan, you gotta fib and be like, I'm just trying to see if there's a pattern with how I told Rika. Haha. You gotta fib. Her sob pierced into my ears. I was taken by the illusion that I was bullying her. Even so, I'll say it. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. Please, prove to me that you're the real Shion.
ありえないんだよ。
It was impossible.
村長が失踪した日、
The day the mayor disappeared.
朝から消えるまで
From dawn until he vanished,
シオンには接触できる機会はありえないんだ。
there was no opportunity for you to contact him.
そんな
That's...
村長は朝一で誰にも内緒の大学病院へ一人で診察に出かけた。
The mayor left first thing in the morning for his examination at the university hospital all by himself, without telling anyone.
シオンは今この病院を知らないと言った。
Shion, you just said you don't know what hospital he went to.
だから帰ってくるまで村長と接触することはできないはずだ。
So you couldn't have contacted the mayor until he got back.
そうだろう。
Isn't that right?
帰りの電車が事故で遅れたので自宅に帰ってきたのは会合の始まる直前だった。
His train back was delayed by an accident, and he didn't return to his house until the meeting was about to start.
つまり会合が始まるまでの時間にも打ち明ける時間的余裕はないんだ。
There was no time for you to have told him before the meeting started either. I heard Shion repeating her weak sobs. That sort of feminine voice automatically ripped into my heart. It was so painful for me to say it.
シオンも一緒に会合に出たのか？
Shion, did you go to the meeting too?
そして会合の席上で打ち明けたのか？
Did you attend it and tell him there?
ここで打ち明けなきゃもう時間がないもんな。
If you didn't, then there wouldn't have been any time left.
村長は帰宅途中で失踪するんだから。
The mayor disappeared on his way home. Shion went to the meeting, didn't she? Did she or didn't she? The question was so simple to answer, but she didn't give me an immediate response.
実は会合にで
Actually with the meeting,
あの日、シオンが行くと言ったバイトすら君は欠勤してるんだ。
You didn't even go to the part-time job you said you went to that day.
もっと端的に言おう。
I'll say it more
君
directly.
は俺と一緒に行った図書館以降、誰にも目撃されていない。
You haven't been seen since we were at the library together.
ケイちゃん
Kei-chan, well,
園崎シオンは
Shion Sonozaki
綿流しの翌日に失踪したんだ。
disappeared the day after Watanagashi. The other end fell silent as the grave. It was so quiet that it was like the phone cord had been cut. I couldn't sense anyone there.
大石さんは君がすでに失踪していると言っているんだ。
Uishi-san says you've been missing.
でもシオンはこうして毎晩俺に電話をかけてきてくれただろ。
Despite that, you've been calling me every night like this, haven't you? Shion's sobs were torturing me. Still, I'm pretty sure I haven't said anything wrong.
頼むシオン。
Please, Shion.
俺が言ったことが間違ってるならそうだと言ってくれ。
Something I said was wrong. Please say so.
シオン頼むから。
Shion, I'm begging you.
シオンお前は村長に会ってなんかないんだ。
Shion, there's no way you could have seen the mayor, but
もし会ったとしたなら
if you did see him... If Shion ever did have the chance to meet with the mayor on that day, then that meant...
村長が会合を終えた後
And you saw him after the meeting.
すなわち
In other words,
失踪する直前もしくは失踪してからしかありえないんだ。
it could only have been right before he disappeared, or else afterward. Ah! Oh, that actually made me jump. That's gonna be a CG for a thumbnail. Beep, beep, went the dial tone. I stood there dazed for a while until I realized she had hung up on me. No, wait. Ah. Oh, two of them. From the scrapbook. The problem with twins. This is not limited to just Hinamizawa, but in Onigafuchi village especially, the three families detested giving birth to twins as successors. The long-term dictatorship built on the precarious balance of the three families must have feared collapsing under the weight of eternal strife from things like family quarrels. According to the literature, if twins were born, then they had to be culled. With that, the fact that both the Sonozaki family successor of Mion Sonozaki and her twin Shion are alive is in itself deeply interesting. Perhaps the current leader Oryu is sympathetic? Of course, the twins were not cared for equally, and as the heir, Mion received special treatment. From what I've heard, despite the two of them looking exactly the same on the outside, the talent lies solely with Mion. My own observations of the two of them don't leave me with that impression. Tradition dictates that the leader of the Sonozaki family is said to inherit a demon, and they tattoo a magnificent one onto his or her back. In accordance with this tradition, there is an extremely high possibility that Mion has such a tattoo on her back. From what I've heard, there is apparently a magnificent demon tattooed on Oryu's back as well. Then, I wonder what sort of tattoo belongs to the heir, Mion. I really want to see her back. Normal thing to say? It's getting harder and harder to trust Mion, you know? That's all I'm saying. Reserve for the day, Suzu Mahjong Parlor. Clatter clack. Who are you? Hey, Akura-chan, you're the last one here. All the youngsters are here already. Excuse me, miss. Uishi handed over a convenience store bag with a carton of cigarettes in it to the old lady who owned the Mahjong parlor, and she shrewdly made herself scarce. She was used to this by now. Uishi-san, good work today. What, were you all earnestly waiting for me? Could have just done 3-player. Everyone sitting at the Mahjong table was in the small parlor with Uishi's subordinates, but there were no tiles laid out anywhere. Everyone, I'd like to thank you for your days of investigation without sleep. Thank you! Energetic responses filled the parlor. Already it had lost the atmosphere of a place of entertainment. Situation is not looking good. The chief appears to have backed down due to Congressman Sonozaki's threats. In the coming days, we'll hand off Takano's murder to the Gifu police, and give the missing persons case of the disappearance of the mayor and the others to the community division. That damn upstart chief. The veterans in the room cursed him. All of our requests for warrants were turned down as well. We've even been told by our section chief not to go anywhere near the Sonozaki house.
いやいや、困ったもんです。
We're certainly in a bind that we are.
ちなみに、私には来週から警視庁への研修命令が出るそうです。その後は余った有給を伊豆で消化しろとまで言われています。
Incidentally, it looks like I'll be getting orders soon to go to the training at the Metropolitan Police Department starting next week. After that, I've even been told to take a paid vacation in Izu.
いや、そういうのも悪くないですね。
Well, I suppose that ain't bad. He heard a few dry laughs. It wasn't anything to laugh about, but that was all they could do.
いつもそうですが、事件と車のキーの閉じ込めはよく似ています。開けるための鍵はいつもその中に閉じ込められているんです。
This always happens, but incidents are a lot like locking your keys in the car. Keys you need to unlock the door are always locked inside.
車なら修理業者を呼んで扉をこじ開ける。
For cars, you call the repairman and they'll probably open your door.
事件なら、
For incidents,
熊ちゃん、図面を。
Kuma-chan, show the map. Kuma-gai flipped over the whiteboard. On the back was a map of the Sonozaki premises made with magnets.
私もずーっとこの商売をやってます。勘には自信があるつもりですがね。今回ばかりは外れるかもしれませんよ。
Now, I've been doing this job for a long time. I got a lot of faith in my gut, but this could be the one time I was wrong, no?
退職金が欲しい方は、私が10数える間に席を外してください。
Anyone worried about their retirement money has until the count of 10 to get out of here. We should begin to count to 10, and everyone counted along with him. It was the famous 10-count resolution.
9、10。
9, 10.
ああ、誰も出てかないよ。
Ah, no one's leaving.
皆さん、ご家族はもっと大切にしてくださいよ。
None of you love your families too much, is that it? Everybody laughed uproariously, cheering things up.
各自、手元の資料を確認。監視カメラの所在と資格を叩き込んでください。
I want everyone to go over their materials. Memorize the locations and blind spots of all the security cameras.
熊ちゃんは指揮車で待機。
Kuma-chan, you'll stand by in the command car.
非常時は私に代わって指揮をお願いしますよ。
If something happens, just switch with me and take over.
小宮山君は突入 A 班、敦君は突入 B 班を指揮。
Komiyama-kun will head up Infiltration Team A. Atsushi-kun will lead Team B.
監視班は1から8まで所定の位置で監視を。
Observation teams will set up at points 1 through 8.
ボンチ君はタイムテーブルを厳守。
Bonji-kun, you're responsible for keeping a strict timetable.
署に怪しまれないようローテを管理してください。
Control your rotation so HQ doesn't get wise.
さて、待機中の班が一番大仕事ですよ。課長に私の所在を聞かれたら、とぼけてください。
Now, the team on standby has the most important job, alright? If the section chief asks where I am, play dumb.
ゲストのエスコート役は私がやります。きっと会場へ連れて行きますので、皆さん気長に待っててください。
I'll handle escorting our guest. You can be sure I'll bring him to the venue, so wait patiently, everyone.
落ちるっすかね、前原圭一は。
Wonderful cave. Keiichi-Mabara, that is.
私の見たところじゃ、明日、明後日には行けそうですよ。もう、コロッとね。
From what I've seen, we're set for tomorrow or the day after in that regard. It'll be easy. Oh, wow. A-cab and all that, but oh my god, Keiichi, you gotta work with these guys. You're gonna die, buddy. You gotta take the safe route, the safe avenue. Read all tips in Watanagashi? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, I know what that means.
Keiichi.
You'll have to wait. Sorry, Mom. Hmm. 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 Those are the last tips of the chapter, huh? That's not good. Burger. Bad news. Huh. Well, that certainly means the chapter is gonna end next stream. That's not good. Huh. Huh. Hmm. Herm. Would you like to say anything? Yet again, I feel betrayed. I thought Shion was my friend. Well, I think Shion was my friend. But I haven't been talking with Shion for a bit, it seems. Shion disappeared some time ago. Now here's the deal. The eternal back and forth of this game is the curse real or not? Is it supernatural or is it perfectly explainable? Is it people or is it demons? Because here's the deal. Chapter 1 firmly put me in the camp of this is a curse, there is demons, there is clearly something supernatural going on. I fully believed that with my heart. Chapter 2 puts doubts in my mind, but also, god motherfucking damn, it's also easy to believe maybe it is demons. 'Cause like the fact that chapter 1 happened and then chapter 2 begins with a reset and everything restarts over, but also stuff's different. Like Shion is here now after not being mentioned at all in chapter 1. The events are different, of course. So like it's like we're caught in a time loop. I'm really getting a feeling that next time Keiichi is gonna kick the bucket and we're gonna get another reset. My mind really is making me believe that's the case. And I think whatever is different in the next reset is really gonna clue me in as to what patterns could be ascertained and what could possibly be going on. There's some subtle character differences too. I'm usually too caught up with reading the text and paying attention to chat and just keeping the stream going. It's hard for me to pay attention to the game sometimes, I can't lie, but I try my best. But, I mean, it definitely does feel different, doesn't it? I don't like it. We're gonna start chapter 3, and there's gonna be a third Sonozaki sister. There's gonna be triplets. And I'm gonna get mad. So, yeah. This chapter has really made me So if Shion went missing, who the fuck is calling us? See, that's the thing. There's a pretty easy, like, non-supernatural explanation, and that's that there's something fucked up going on with the Sonozaki house, and that was Mion calling us. It's easy to believe that, I think. Now, is that the case? I don't know for sure. My gut is leaning towards Mion might be evil. But maybe that's what the game wants me to think. Because this chapter has leaned more into going, hey, this might just be the work of people. There might be some grand conspiracy with the three families going on. And, like, I kind of buy it. But that's probably what the game wants me to do. And so then that makes me doubt it. So I don't know. Because Chapter 1 just makes it so hard for me to believe that nothing supernatural is going on. Because of how fucked up Rena and Mion were in Chapter 1. They would get the demon eyes, and they would spout out information that they shouldn't know. Like, they just know things. Rena was following me around. Thing about that, though, is Shion was bad with me and telling you to stay away from her. Well, yeah, that's true. But, like, was that a part of the act? You know? I don't know. Because we know that Shion and Mion don't get along. So would it be kind of weird for Shion to suddenly be like, no, trust Mion, tell her things. It's chill. It might be the perfect cover, I don't know. There's also the notebooks left behind by Takano-san. The thing is, though, is I don't know how reliable of a figure Takano was, because she was a bit crazy. Rena hasn't gotten the eyes. Yes, and I've noticed that. Rena hasn't done anything weird yet. Like, she has been pretty normal. She gives me weird vibes occasionally. I can't lie. But that could just be me being paranoid after Chapter 1. Because I can't look at Rena the same anymore. I don't look at her like I did back before the last half of Chapter 1. The core thing I've noticed is everything gets fucked up after the Watanagashi. The thing is, though, why is shit so fucked up after the Watanagashi? Because, like, from all we've known, the cycle is someone dies and someone disappears. But, like, then that's it until the next Watanagashi. But both in Chapter 1 and in this chapter, that's not true. Chapter 1, fucking... we got Tomitake dies and Takano goes missing. Cool. Watanagashi prophecy fulfilled. And then, like... but then there's all this shit with Mion and Rena. They start getting weird, and then fucking Keiichi kills them, and he claws out his own throat in a phone booth, like how Tomitake clawed out his own throat. And then Chapter 2, it's especially prevalent. The mayor is missing after the Watanagashi. Rika and Satoko are missing. Like, it's off. But, like, now knowing something is up with Phone Shion, it's gonna recontextualize a lot of the things she said, because she talked about feeling like she was being watched. What did she mean by that, and why did she tell me that? Like, what was the goal of her act? Like, assuming it's Mion. Because here's the deal. If it's not Mion, then that raises the obvious question of who else could impersonate Shion on the phone? Because sure, it's over the phone, the audio's a bit distorted. But like... still, you have to at least sound like Shion. I think what's interesting, the first half of this chapter, I don't remember enough what was going on. That would feel so long ago. Shion herself, maybe? But what's going on with her? She's missing, apparently. She also claims to have told the mayor about going in the storehouse, and then he disappeared. But that can't be possible with what we know unless she met with him right before he disappeared. Or after he disappeared. Like, Keiichi said that himself, and that's true, I think. And after we exposed her, she starts laughing maniacally. Something is up. I don't like it. I'm trying to think of everything that happens in the first half of this chapter. It's like, there's the whole bit with, oh, you think Mion and Shion are the same person. But then, surprise, they're two different people. Because in the toy store, we encounter Mion while we're with Shion, and that's when it's revealed, oh, they're two different people. And it's not just Mion putting on another persona like we thought, right? And like, Rena's even like talked about it like they were the same person, right? Like, I remember the pep talk Rena had with us beforehand, where she didn't outright say it, if I remember correctly, but like it was pretty strongly saying like, yeah, Mion has this alter ego you're talking to, and maybe that's kind of the true side of Mion, or something like that. Like, I thought the thing was, oh, Mion doesn't feel comfortable showing this real, more, like, girly side of her with, like, Keiichi and the others. But no, Mion and Shion are two different people, haha. It's odd. Shion herself has always kind of been weird and suspicious because I always felt like she was a bit weird. Early on, she seemed to take a lot of pleasure in fucking with Mion, which, I mean, they're siblings and they don't seem to really get along, so I'm not too surprised about that. But, like, something was always off about her, just based on the fact that she wasn't at all in Chapter 1, neither seen nor mentioned. So, like, and now she's missing. And I mean, Shion has acted differently since on the phone, but I took that as, since we've been calling her, she's been freaking the fuck out because of the Watanagashi stuff. Like, that all made sense to me. Because I'm freaking the fuck out too. They're gonna get me. I don't know. Because, like, the big events I remember from early in the chapter is, if I can kind of summarize what I remember. I remember us, yeah, I remember us having to, we went to the toy store, or with that little tournament we had where they all won the plushies except for Mion. That's the earliest thing I can remember. We won the plushies. Mion seemingly wanted Keiichi's plushie, but he was like, haha, you wouldn't like a plushie like this. I'm gonna give it to Rena. And she was really sad about it. I remember that. And then our dad takes us to Angel Mort. We meet Shion. We think Shion is Mion. We hang out with her a lot. We have that time where we got the ticket to go get all those meals. Oh yeah, we had like the fucking biker dudes also try to beat us up, but Shion stepped in, and then a bunch of villagers from Hinamizawa also showed up and surrounded them like they were gonna kill him, which was one of the first really weird moments of the chapter. Then I think after that is when we got, like, she gave us that little ticket to go try out all that stuff for free at the restaurant with all the fucking otakus. That one otaku tripped her on purpose to make her do some gross shit. We challenged him, he beat us, we called in everyone except for Mion. And everyone else showed up to help out and fuck with the otakus and get them kicked out to help out Shion. And then we had... Mion was kind of being weird. We had our pep talk with Rena about, like, hey, there's this other side to Mion that you don't ever see, so, like, you know, because of the way you treat her, Keiichi. And we thought about, like, oh yeah, she wanted that plushie. That was so messed up of us to not give it to her because we thought she wouldn't like it, even though she didn't get anything. Let's go buy her a plushie because we still think Shion is Mion. We go to the toy store while we're on, like, a date with her, and then surprise, Mion and Shion are actually two different people. And then after that, next thing I can think of is the Watanagashi, where we break into the storehouse, and then, well, shit has been fucked since then. We had some fun at the Watanagashi before all that, too. We were going around the stalls like we did the time before. Although, without my good friend Tometake. He wasn't there that time, because he was probably with Takano this time around. Shion joined us for that. For a little bit. We were going around the stalls, hyping up different stalls. It's odd. So do you think the Shion we saw at the beginning was Shion? What a strange question to ask. I don't know anything anymore. Because, I mean, in the beginning, it really did feel like Shion was just Mion putting on a disguise, you know? And putting on an alternate personality. Because it gave me that vibe, right? And, like, that's the intention. Is it supposed to be a bait and switch? Where it's like, oh, you think this is just Mion putting on an act because there's this hidden side of her that she kind of tucks away, but she lets it out when she's pretending to be Shion. And we just kind of go with it. But then it's like, haha, no, they are two different people. But, like, they do mention that if Shion and Mion ever, like, switched places, you wouldn't be able to tell because they're twins. Like, they note that if you just change up how they tie their hair, they look the exact same. So, I don't know. There could have been times where we thought we were with Shion, but it was actually Mion. Maybe, I don't know. I've always just assumed this whole time that the bait and switch was like, the Shion we hang out with, that's Shion. The Mion we hang out with, that's Mion. They're two separate people. But shit's fucked. Shit's a little weird. I don't know what to think. But that's all for tonight. I'm going to catch you all on Thursday when we probably finish the chapter. Unless this last chapter is really long. It might be. I don't know. But catch you all then.